Right now on Up with KREM, Kootenai Health is in crisis. A 20-person Army team is on their way to Coeur d'Alene to help with overwhelmed hospitals in North Idaho.
And as North Idaho goes into crisis, their leaders now pleading with residents to get vaccinated. But how do they stack up to the rest of the country, particularly Washington State?
And of course, we're going to take you outside today. We've got a smoky haze in the sky. I'll let you know what that means for our air quality.
Up with KREM begins now.
The COVID crisis in North Idaho is only growing, and now it's having a major impact on our local hospitals. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday. I'm Tim Pham. This morning, we are following this developing story in Idaho. The state's health department issued crisis care standards this week, and right now, we do have team coverage on Up with KREM. Channing Curtis is in the studio breaking down Idaho COVID numbers and their current vaccination rate, and I'll be showing you a closer look at how their cases compare to Washington. And we also have Nicole Hernandez at Kootenai Health, where they are flooded with COVID patients and running out of resources.
Yeah, good morning, Tim. So Kootenai Health says that they are seeing their largest number of COVID-19 patients that they've seen since the pandemic started. So because of that, they are going into what they're calling a standard crisis care mode. This is something that they're doing not just at Kootenai Health. They're also starting this crisis care standard here at hospitals in Bonner, Shoshone, Boundary, and Benewah counties. Hospital leaders say they're seeing more young COVID patients right now.
I think that the thing that's really changed for us has been seeing that younger patients are dying from this. And it's quite disturbing to see these patients declining, and they're what I would consider healthy. They're normal, everyday North Idaho people.
Health leaders say if you go to the hospital, you should expect a longer wait time. You also might not be seen in a normal spot. The hospital changed conference and classroom space into bed space. New patients might also be sent to a different hospital that has more capacity. Last week, Governor Brad Little reactivated about 150 National Guardsmen to help the hospitals. Plus, the U.S. Army is sending 20 people here to Kootenai Health to help out. That includes nurses, respiratory therapists, and medical doctors. We're told they're here to help Kootenai Health nurses and physicians. There are 9 teams like this one working in other hospitals across the country right now. But as for Idaho State, North Idaho is the first region to put these crisis standards into place. But health leaders are warning that the rest of the state is dangerously close to having to do the same thing. In Coeur d'Alene, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
Now let's take a closer look at COVID cases in North Idaho. This week, there have been 157 new COVID cases in Kootenai County, the second highest number in the state of Idaho. Now, according to the Idaho Department of Health, the large orange bubbles that you see on this map actually show numbers of COVID cases, and the highest number of COVID cases are coming out of Canyon County. Now, we can also take a look at the vaccination rates there in the state. According to numbers released by the Department of Health on September 2nd, Idaho is less than 43% vaccinated. Now, Idaho is one of the 10 states left that is in this gray on this map here. Most of our country has a population of over 43% people vaccinated. Here in Washington, more than 59% of people are vaccinated. So let's dive deeper into Washington vaccination rates compared to Idaho's. Tim Pham joins us now. And so, Tim, when we look closer at these numbers, what exactly does this mean?
Yeah, Channing, I want to break this down for you because there are a lot of numbers. So we are comparing the two states. It's also important to look at the regions within around our states. Also, we want to take a look at counties. So I want to show you this map from the Washington State Department of Health. It shows you the entire state and how many doses have been given. You can see over here the number, just over 8 million doses have been given here in the state of Washington. Almost 236,000 people in our area have been vaccinated in Spokane County, and that's about 45%. Now, if we zoom in a little bit to Spokane County, you can see it is shaded in the light purple, and that means that right now just over 605,000 people have been vaccinated in our area. But if you compare that to Western Washington, you see very different than the rest of the state. King County shaded in the dark purple. That means vast majority have been vaccinated in that county. So let's compare this to Idaho, because theirs is very similar to Eastern Washington if you put that into the same category as states with the lowest vaccination rate. So let's talk about Mississippi right now. Mississippi is the least vaccinated state in the United States. Barely 1 person in 3 have been fully vaccinated. Over the summer, the state saw just over 113 people hospitalized with the Delta variant, and most of those hospitalized were unvaccinated. And the number of patients is taking a toll on hospital staff, especially at this hospital in southern Mississippi.
The acuity of these patients is worse this round than the first round. So that turns into a lot of stress, a lot of staff that, you know, it's the same group of people that worked the first round of COVID, so they're tired.
The AP reporting their vaccination rate is about 38%, not far behind the Panhandle Health District, sitting at 40%. Our coverage on the hospital crisis in North Idaho continues in our next half hour. In the meantime, for the latest, you can always text the word COVID to 509-448-2000. We'll send a link right to your phone. All right, let's switch gears now at 7:36 on a Wednesday to talk about the forecast. A little bit hazy in that live look behind you, Jeremy, and it sounds like it's going to stick around for just a little bit.
Yeah, we've got some hazy skies today and tomorrow across much of the region, and it's from those wildfires really burning everywhere. They're burning all around us, so as we get a shift in the weather pattern that puts more smoke in the sky, what you can expect is more smoke to stick around. We're starting to see wind pick up, and that means even more smoke for us. 62 in Spokane, 60 in Coeur d'Alene, 50 there in Sandpoint, 60 in Moses Lake, and 67 in Wenatchee. Air quality remains in the moderate zone right now. We are in the low 60s in terms of AQI, and we likely stay there for a while longer before we start to see that air quality get a little bit worse later on today. Wind gusts do pick up. We'll see wind gusts up near 20 miles per hour this afternoon here in Spokane, up near 30 across parts of the state. And typically that would associate with some very high fire danger, even some red flag warnings. But what we're seeing is a little bit of moisture along with some of this wind. The moisture itself is kind of falling apart as it moves through the middle part of the state, but it will put enough in the atmosphere that we have relative humidity levels high enough that we don't get those red flag warnings. That clears out and the sun comes out later on today. It's sunny. If it weren't for the smoke, it would be sunny and 90. But because of some of that smoke, we stay in the upper 80s, and it's that glowing red-orange bulb in the sky later on this afternoon. Very similar to what we saw yesterday.
It's time now for your morning rush. More news in less time.
After the Labor Day holiday, officials are bracing for a spike in coronavirus cases. Tomorrow, President Biden will announce a new 6-point strategy to fight the coronavirus. And this comes amid a late summer surge that may not be over. COVID cases are dramatically up. The weekly average 300% higher compared to last Labor Day. In California, officials are now preparing for a COVID response that could last 5 to 10 years.
This is not going to go away. We're not going to be able to put this back in the box. You're going to have to learn to live with it, which means getting people vaccinated.
According to Reuters, nearly 21,000 people died in the U.S. from COVID in just the last 2 weeks. That number is nearly 70% higher than the previous 2-week period.
Now, just a warning, the details in this next story might be disturbing to some people. 12 bodies and roughly 50 fetuses were recovered from a funeral home in Pocatello, Idaho, after an inspector found them last week. Coroners are working to identify the bodies. The funeral home's owner has surrendered his license and no charges have been filed yet, but the investigation is ongoing.
Next week, there will be a public memorial service honoring Grant County Sheriff's Deputy John Melvin. The deputy passed away in December of COVID complications. He served 35 years in law enforcement. He was set to retire in January of this year.
Take a look at this. A bobcat caught on camera stalking chickens inside a coop at a Woodenville home. The bobcat can be seen walking across the roof of the coop, staring at the chickens below. Now, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife says the best way to keep your pets safe from bobcats is to keep them inside from dawn until dusk, or inside enclosed pens like these or coops.
Well, good news out of the Puget Sound this morning. The 2-year-old J-Pod orca calf thought to be sick now appears to be energetic. The calf was spotted this week by the Orca Behavior Institute. She was foraging with her mother. According to the institute, J56 is thin and has always been small. However, she does not have peanut head syndrome that is associated with emaciated orca shortly after death. And that's your Morning Rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media.
Vaccination requirements are popping up all across the state. We'll tell you which places will ask to see your vaccine card before you can enter.
And coming up in our next half hour, we are asking if proof of vaccination is a HIPAA violation. We're going to verify coming up.
And of course, we're going to take you outside, talk the forecast. We've got smoke today. I'll let you know when we can expect some clearer skies.